and welcome to the Film Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. There's now 3 different extensions of this podcast now. So we had the debut of Wrestle Vomit last week, and which did very well for its first podcast. And now that we're on Spotify and everything else, Film Vomit is growing as well. We're starting to get places.
Yeah, my cousin was actually just telling me how he found our shit on Spotify, and he's been listening to it.
It's very easy to find on Spotify, actually.
Yeah.
I've checked how easy it is to find us in search results on various things. Stitcher and Deezer are also pretty easy to find us. I'm still awaiting approval for Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. But everything else, we're pretty much there. We have around I think 19 different things that they counted.
Okay.
So,
nice.
We're doing numbers, people.
Yeah.
They're not huge numbers, but we're doing more than we were, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So, as always, I'm Mac Taylor. He's Cole Selby, and today we are talking about VFW 2019. No, not the actual branch of the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Yeah.
But a movie about a post with veterans of foreign wars.
Yeah.
Fighting drug dealers in a non-specified time.
Yeah.
This movie felt like, obviously it's very modern in the way it's filmed, but the flow of it felt very 70s, 80s with the gritty grindhousey style. But again, in a modern film lens, fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing that was pointing this movie into being a like a thriller movie was just because I watched it on Shudder.
Yeah.
That's the only. Yeah, that's the only reason why I think now I know that this is a fucking horror movie. I mean, I guess you look at the fucking box art. I mean, it's pretty badass.
It is. The poster is fucking awesome. But Shudder also gets grindhousey movies. I think that's where they acquired this film, because it's in that category. I mean, it's bloody as all fuck.
Oh yeah.
And it's funded or partially by Fangoria is on the label. So, that's where it gets in the horror community, being associated with Fangoria. So, and that one of the stars was in a pretty prominent horror film in the past couple of years as well. So, we have connections left and right to the horror community.
Yeah.
But this movie is fucking, it's a ride, man. Also, smooth 90 minutes, man. Smooth.
Yes, it was. It was. I wasn't I didn't notice nearly that it was a little over an hour and a half long. I didn't notice. I was just having a good ride throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Very, very nice flow. Once this movie starts, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Which the plot is set up to where you can't, because it's a survival kind of thing.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we're going to dive right in. But Cole, what were your expectations? Because I also didn't really know what to expect going in, but I want to hear your opinions first.
I mean, I feel like I say this all the time, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I feel like it never is. Like I said, the only reason why I know it was going to be some sort of thriller thing, suspense movie, was just because it was on Shudder. I kind of set my expectations really low because of the movies you have me watch. had me watch. So I do set my expectations a little low, but even if I set them higher, this movie would have overcasted them. It was amazing. Like what we were saying, the practical effects, awesome. I love them, even though they kind of show off the budget. I think it was a fantastic move.
But when it comes to gore, practical is always better. It's never a good idea to go CG for gore.
This technology isn't there yet to make it look super good. I actually loved every single one of the characters.
Yes,
I like
cast
all of
is
them.
Brilliant.
They remind me of my grandpa's old buddies, or my dad's old buddies and shit. I feel like I'm hanging out with them a little bit.
They feel very authentically old school guys.
Yeah. Nothing about them acting that was like they were acting in that part. I felt like they were actually in that character.
And we have a lot of big time actors that are playing these
Oh
guys.
yeah.
We'll talk about later, but like there
Yeah.
are some fucking names in this movie. So
Yeah, I stayed up. I was reading reading the credits as they're rolling through, and I'm like, I recognize these names. It's like no wonder they look familiar. Like people looked familiar when this movie came out. I'm like, huh. I was like, who's that? I think there is one thing that the movie did have a horrible low on, and that's for not casting Bobby Rhodes.
If Bobby Rhodes was in VFW, I'd have lost my shit. He could have played the same character.
He could have.
He could have been the pimp, or he could have been the bodybuilder guy. But just like this grizzled old Bobby Rhodes, oh man, it would have been the best. I would have given it 20 stars.
Like but that's with most movies they can't really hold up that high of an expectation to have such a wonderful
wrenches. We're gonna make bombs. We're gonna get all these drug dealers.
He would have been perfect. He would have been perfect then.
His roles in Demons were preparing him for this movie. We missed the opportunity, guys. We need to make an action movie, and we need to find Bobby Rhodes. Like it's on us, Cole. We need to.
It is. It's on us. Like before he kicks the bucket.
I will learn the language just so we can cast Bobby Rhodes.
Yeah. But other than that, fantastic movie.
Yes. Yeah. Every movie made the mistake of not casting Bobby Rhodes. But besides that, Home Alone, you made a mistake by not casting Bobby Rhodes.
Yeah. He could have been perfect.
He could have been like the third robber, and it would have been brilliant. So anyway, jumping into VFW. So we start off, and they do a great job of just setting the world that we live in here with all of these tweakers and dealers that are in this like movie theater, which has been, I guess, abandoned because basically this town, and this is pretty prevalent in society. Towns that get overrun by drug problems, they become like slums. So,
look at Gary, Indiana. It's a fucking trash hole, trash heap.
Look at Connorsville.
Yeah, Connorsville, and it's fucking bad. It's getting about that way too. Not as bad as where police would probably ignore shots, like gunshots. But
there are like towns and stuff where that is possible. Like there's all sorts of violence there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see and this drug's called hype, which it's a strain of it's hard to tell what it's supposed to do because like we see in the beginning they take it and that they're very down, but later when someone takes it, it's an upper. Yeah. But I'm not sure. Maybe if you take so much, then you're just on your ass because these people are just doing so much of it. I'm not entirely sure on it. They didn't really specify what its purpose was exactly. Yeah. But
it's packaged like cocaine.
It is packaged and it is a powder.
Yeah. But it's not cocaine though. But it's
not. Yeah, it's not speed necessarily. And so like there's like rioting because these tweakers are trying to get their hands on this stuff, and so these drug dealers are the main one's name is what is it, Baz? Yes, Baz. He's kind of over having to deal with all this shit in the city, so he wants to sell his supply and move on. So his brother. Rhodey has found a buyer at dawn. They will sell all of their shit and move on from the shithole, essentially. And while they're out doing that, getting stuff done, Baz decides to be a complete dick, and he takes a little vial because it comes in vials, even though it's a powder of hype, and he throws it off the roof to watch a girl jump to her death trying to get it.
Wow.
And then that's the opening fucking scene of this movie. So again, very, very bleak, but very bloody because she hits the floor and just splat. And again, this is where the budget showed a little bit because it was clearly a dummy that hit the floor. And then like later when you see her body, it looks like she's just kind of laying in all the fake blood. But again, it's a low budget movie that went straight to video. This is still very good looking stuff here. Okay. But yeah, that's how we open. And you're immediately like, yes, these guys are horrible people. Mm-hmm. Now we want to see them get fucked up.
Yeah.
And then we meet our main character, Fred. Mm-hmm. who owns the VFW post, which is what I mean. It's a bar at the VFW post, which is a great use of VFW post.
Yeah.
And we also meet Abe, who is another one of the veterans, and he picks him up on the way. And we also meet Walter, who was asleep in his truck bed the entire time, which was a fun little like thing. But like while they're driving there, him and Abe are like talking about like how bad the city's got with drugs and like how they're getting really old and haggard, but they're just like they're Fred's truck, they're still hanging on, which is kind of the theme of the movie. And they see all that they've all gathered at the theater, and as most of us do when we drive through a bad neighborhood, we shit talk it as we drive through it. That's just like what we all do. Yeah. But it's funnier with these two old guys because again, this cast has great chemistry.
Yeah.
So Walter pops up from the truck bed and he's like, "I had a dream you hit every pothole in town." He's like, "That wasn't a dream."
Yeah, I love the banter they have. Like, I love how they always have like this with them. Like, about
I wonder how much was scripted or if any was actually just ad libbed. I'm not entirely sure, but this cast is so brilliant and so experienced. I think you can like just let them go.
Yeah, yeah. Like they really do give off like they've known each other like their entire fucking lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, they all were at war together when they were young. And not all of them served together. Some of them were in other wars, but there's a great line that Fred has later about it.
Yeah.
Kind of just speaks to what this means to him essentially. But like when we see him opening shop and you can tell this is like a daily thing for him. And he like peeks out into the theater is literally across the street. So all this drug activity is like right by his fucking bar. And he's just kind of looking out on it with his disgruntled face. And as they open up, they have this tradition where they draw cards to see what videotape will play on the television. And Walter wins and he picks like 80s jazzercise just so they could get drunk and watch people bend over. And I don't know what that just made me laugh so hard. Like, because when they were putting a tape in, I'm like, oh, what's it going to be, like a Western or something? And then the jazzercise popped up. I was like, brilliant. Fucking brilliant. And they get fucking shit faced.
Oh yeah.
There's not a moment where they're not drinking in this movie.
Like they'll take a break between action just to like take a shot and then like go right back.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like I strive to be these guys when I'm old. When I'm old, I hope to spend all my days at a bar getting drunk. Like that's like when I'm like 90 years old or like these guys are like 70. When I'm like 70, when I'm retired from the entertainment industry, I hope to just be drunk and have these kind of people in my life. Like these are goals, man. These are goals. So we also meet the other veterans that all pretty much sit at the bar, get drunk, and shit talk each other. Yeah. We meet Doug, Z, and Lou. Doug is the guy with the medical marijuana.
Yeah.
And Lou is he's a car salesman now. And he's kind of like the sleazy guy in the group. Like they all shit talk him because he's supposed to have all these connections, but it never really pulls through.
Yeah.
And it's Fred's birthday, and he really doesn't want them to talk about it. And he's like, "You keep bringing up my birthday, I'm gonna bring up your tabs." And they're like, "Hey, no need to be doing that."
Yeah.
How much free liquor have these guys gone through?
God, it's got to have been years of like daily gatherings.
You could probably buy a house with their tabs, man.
Oh yeah.
But like that's the thing about like small town bars too. Like you have that kind of connection to it. It's not like the city. But I wish that Fred's bar was real. I'd go there.
Oh yeah.
Because drinking with old war vets is the best.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of like a bar like that here in town. It's a small one outside town that a bunch of old folks go to. But
yeah, because the stories you can hear, spending time at that bar, that's brilliant.
Yeah, but like this, still like that one, they still get fucking loud, crazy young people, on the weekends. Like it's a real quiet bar.
Like Happy Birthday to Me, and everyone else is just trying to have a good time, and there's those loud fucking college kids that need to get murdered.
Yeah.
There's always that group.
Oh yeah.
They also set up a couple of key things that will come, because that's what good storytelling does. And I've talked about this a lot in podcasts, but like you set something up just like in a shot or like something else, and it's going to be used later, but you got to set it up subtly, make it reasonably be there, right? So we see the assault vehicle, we see the ancient war sword, just there, because later they're going to be relevant. But right now, they still exist in this thing. They don't just get pulled out of the asshole.
Yeah. And it's not like they're forcing these things on the
it's just
audience either.
Quick tidbits. Like,
and it makes sense that they would have these kinds of things too, being old war vets.
A VFW post would have a war vehicle at it.
Yeah.
They don't ever use it, but it's there. And like when Fred opens up the back door, he's looking out across the parking lot, which has the vehicle in shot. It's not like he's like, that vehicle, it's just there. So we see it. Same thing with the sword. Like they mentioned, like, oh man, when you used to have to fight off people with the sword. Like again, they would also, that's a relative conversation they would have. And also, of course, they would have an old war sword hung up at a bar at a VFW post. It makes perfect sense. And again, they'll be relevant later, but you always have to just slightly establish it so that when it comes in later, you're like, I knew that was going to be there.
It's kind of like
better storytelling.
It's kind of like a Shaun of the Dead with the shotgun.
Exactly. You just set it up so it comes in later. And it's more of a payoff that way because it feels earned, because you're waiting for it to come up. And then when it does, you're excited.
Yeah.
So yes, like again, this and I looked up the writers. Like there was one guy, like this is his only writing credit. I'm like, what a fucking way to start your writing career.
Oh yeah.
Like he had done a lot of like producing stuff, but like this was his first foray into like, big time screenwriting. But fucking brilliant. So yeah, they're all there. They're all getting drunk, kind of, sharing, shit talking each other, having fun. Yeah. Doug's smoking weed, and Fred makes him take it outside. They set up all the good stuff. There's a Viagra joke in here because he's like, talks about when, because again, you got a bunch of old guys there. They're going to talk about ladies. And so, you show me a dick that's going to work on its own in that room. Okay. Age is a bitch. It happens.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while all these good times are happening, and actually the extras in this scene are the actual veterans from this VFW post. This is a real VFW post that does exist that they shot in. And yeah, the extras are all the actual veterans of that post. So they got to actually like give them a little credit in the movie since they let them use their VFW post to shoot the movie. So bravo.
That's cool. Oh, yeah.
And good on the veterans for letting them use a VFW post for this movie. But this movie does, it shines a great light on veterans. So, I mean, I would totally like, it's good for the reputation. So meanwhile, we meet Lizard, who, lives amongst the streets. And her sister was the one who jumped off the roof in the beginning. So she is angry at Baz for doing this and decides to take revenge by stealing his drugs. The one thing that would cause a large fucking fight to break out.
Like, I want to know what her fucking plan was.
She didn't have one.
Like, run.
This was short-term satisfaction. Like, I'm just gonna fuck his day up. She didn't know about the VFW post. She didn't know where she was just running. She was hauling ass. And Dave and Doug just happened to be outside. That was the only thing that happened. Unfortunately for Doug. So meanwhile, on the inside of the VFW, Walter is trying to tell this story.
Yeah.
And he takes forever to tell stories, as most these old guys do. And a new vet walks in named Sean. He had just got home from Afghanistan. And things are not going to go well for him on his first day back in the country.
Oh no.
So he's just stopping to get a beer before going home. And everyone offers to pay his tab because, no one should have to pay for brewskis when they come home. He's done his work. It's time for him to relax. So Walter tells a story about, him and Fred go way back to high school rivalry. And when they were off in the war, Walter wanted to go give him a hook in the face.
Yeah.
So he gave him one good punch, knocked him on his ass, and he goes, "You tell him what was the first words out of your mouth. You tell him. Listen to this. This is good shit." And he says, "Soldier, do you like American poontang? Because there was a USO show that night that they went to, Miss 1963." And I knew when they were talking about this, I'm like, there's gonna be a pussy hair joke, because that's just always gonna come up, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, he punched him in the mouth, and he was a sergeant, and instead of getting him court-martialed, he transferred him into his unit and showed him some titties, like a good fucking American.
Jesus, man, you just punched me in the face. You want to go look at some titties with me? It's like, yeah, I do actually. Like that's how it goes down every time, actually.
Well, I hope if someone punches me in the face, we go see that afterwards. You know, it's a great way to resolve issues. Okay. But that started their, decade-long friendship. Because, after you especially Vietnam, my father was in Vietnam. When these guys came home, there was not a lot here for them. People were completely fucking shitty. And, a lot of them had to take these shit jobs and kind of end up in these small towns and drink themselves into obscurity.
Yeah.
A soldier is not exactly a great gig.
Mm-hmm.
It does not pay well very much, especially at that time. Mm-hmm. So they all ended up in this small town, and kind of the VFW is their home, because that's the only place they really get to kind of be themselves. So it kind of establishes the importance of this through a very funny monologue.
Yeah.
It turns out that Miss 1963 had a daughter who is stripping in town on this day, and it's Fred's birthday, so they're taking the new kid and they're gonna go to the strip joint. However, sadly for them, they will not see titties this evening.
Nope. Yep. And they're upset about it, the whole night too.
I would have gladly watched that movie too if it was just a bunch of old war vets and one new war vet going to a strip club. I would watch that movie. So, because you could imagine the hijinks, but this is not a comedy. This is a gritty movie. We're about to get real.
Yeah.
Because while he's out enjoying his medical marijuana, Doug sees Lizard hauling ass over there, getting chased by an army of dudes. And so he walks in and he's trying to warn everybody, gets knocked on his fucking face by Lizard, and then Tank, the bodyguard of the drug dealer, comes in and axes him in the shoulder. And Fred responds by blowing Rhodey's fucking head open. Like classic fucking blowing up the fake head stuff. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was good. I like how it just goes just straight into it, like this is happening right now. I hope you were prepared for it, because we made sure you weren't.
I mean, yeah, they all get blindsided and they're drunk, but Fred's just immediately like, I'm shooting somebody.
Yeah, and it's crazy just how much, he's just it's like, oh, something happened, I'm immediately shooting. It's like blat.
But he was one of the best soldiers back in the day, so he was ready to go.
Yeah, he went right into action.
He had to pick who to kill. He had to pick to kill Tank, or basically who needed saved immediately. And no offense to Doug, but he was already wounded, so it was like, keep the other one from getting wounded. I understood his choice. And then he chases Tank away, who's trying not to get shot. And now we've established, the shit has started, and it's not going to end for a while.
Yeah.
Doug is pretty badly injured. His shoulder is almost completely torn open. So he doesn't have much time before he bleeds out, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they get him up on the bar where he'll spend the rest of the movie. And they're trying to patch him up, keep him calm, except for Lou, who's talking about how bad the shoulder looks.
Yeah.
Not great. And everyone else is trying to prepare for the shit that they're about to be in, when more people start busting in. And the axe that had fucked up Doug's shoulder, now Fred gets, and he fucks some people up with that.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Like
And
everyone in this bar just starts whooping ass.
Immediately.
Like, mm-hmm.
Because then Walter stomps a dude's fucking head in.
Mm-hmm.
Just out of pure anger over the shit that happened to him.
Yeah.
I mean, just and even the young kid who, just got home immediately gets in action. He kicks. He's got that hand-to-hand combat training. He fucking whoops ass.
Yeah. Like I love, like I was watching this movie and I feel like I'm just like watching an action film. Like, yes, I watch these people just beat the shit like all of these fucking hyper drugged up dudes.
Yeah. Because I mean, when people are, on drugs that bad, it is like fighting a machine.
Oh yeah.
So but they fuck them up good. But that's what's interesting about this movie is it doesn't give like this because a lot of action movies, like they shoot it in a way that's going to make it very, action hero-y, where it's like, but this is just, it's very, the hits are hard and, people get fucked up. It's not like hyper realistic. It seems like, if you swung an axe at someone, you're not going to clean go through most of the time. You're just going to get stuck in some, and it's going to spurt blood. But obviously they really do the blood in this. Like, it's spraying everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Fucking great. So yeah, they fucked it. And then the one guy tries to reach his arm in, and Fred just chops his arm off with the axe.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 blows with it.
Oh yeah.
And then the guy finally retreats. I'm like, after the first strike, you should have put your arm back.
Yeah, like you're done, dude. Jesus.
And before that shit happened, we did have the pussy hair joke that I previously mentioned. It did happen. Where Abe laments shaving. Yeah. Because it's funny because Z goes, how do they even get it that smooth? And
lasers.
The young guy's like, lasers. He's like, of course, lasers. That's how they would do that.
Like I used to keep toothpicks on me. Like just in case.
Yeah, he's like, you got a baby mama? And he's like, no, I got a wife. You got any toothpicks?
Like I love them. I just love.
Yeah, again, this cast is fucking brilliant. Even when they get in the shit, they have some great banter back and forth. So yeah, now they know not a great chance of survival right now if these people keep just coming at them. But I mean, they quickly have sprung into action. They're not. There's no hesitation. But also, you probably shouldn't just go attack a bunch of old war vets. You're not going to get. It's not going to end well for you. But they need to get Dave to a doctor. They are on a time limit here. Which is good that they didn't. Dave was one of my favorite characters. So or Doug, I keep saying Dave. Doug, one of my favorite characters. And I was sad that he got hit so early, but he does last a while.
Yeah.
And Sean, he looked outside and there was a bunch of people. And then he looked out again and it was clear. You should not have assumed it was clear. Like things are too quiet after being too real. Like that was a mistake. But I get that there was a sense of urgency. So Z goes out. He's like, I'm going to grab my car, pull around, get out of here. However, this girl with this blade, I think her name is Gutter. So I'm going to call her Gutter. But I looked it up. It's never mentioned in the movie. You just kind of have to try to figure it out. But her name's Gutter. And she slits Z's throat. And like a huge army. It's almost like zombies. Gather around. And Fred just unloads with that shotgun on him. But they've lost another friend. Z is very fucked up. And he didn't get a lot in this movie. He's the first one out. He doesn't really get a lot of action.
Yeah.
But now, the vets know, like, we're probably not going to make it out of here. We're probably going to die. But they've been in this shit before where there's, like, no chance of survival. So, it's just like being in the war again, except at home.
Yeah.
Lou seems to be like mentally breaking down. It's almost like he's so removed from the war that he can't contemplate action anymore. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of these guys, especially Fred, it was like a flip of the switch, like, we're ready to go. Lou tries to take the car salesman way out and not necessarily the soldier's way out.
Yeah.
And that's going to cause a lot of conflict. So they barricade the doors and windows because they're not idiots. They know they're going to try to attack any weak points that they have. And Fred and Walter's like, do you think we should just give them the girl? Fred's like, could you live with yourself for doing that? And he's like, all right, fine. I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
But at least they brought it up. It would be a question you would ask. Because it's like, who is this person that we're all going to die for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Fred's like, all right, I'm going to go to my truck, just watch my ass. And he heads to his truck and he is attacked by Gutter. So she's like, give it back. And he's like, I have zero idea what you're talking. Like, legitimately, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he stabs her with his keys. And then as a tweaker goes to attack him, you know, his friend has his back. So Walter shoots him. And then there's a line of them. And Walter's like, oh, I'll get the one on the left. And then they're all systematically murdered by Sean, who was a very accurate shot. So they called him Deadeye, I believe is what they called him. And he's like, all right, well, I'm glad you decided to get a beer tonight. And he's like, well, I'm not. But yeah, another like really good action sequence in the truck. Like, it's tense.
Yeah.
Because again, even though Fred is like the action hero, he's a human being. He's gonna get fucked up. He's also really old. Like, he's not like a young kid anymore. Like
he wouldn't have made it without, you know, help from other people throughout this movie.
And
that's with everybody.
They all sustain injuries, even if they don't die. Like, nobody's coming out of this clean. Especially them being old. Like, they could have a fucking heart attack through this. Like, you know, the body is not what it used to be. And I'm glad that they acknowledge it in this movie. You know, they're not war machines anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, just really quality stuff there. Finding my place in my notes. So Fred's really mad about his truck. You don't fuck with the man's truck. So he's like, all right, person. And she says her name's Elizabeth, which goes by Lizard, and doesn't really tell them why they're being attacked, but that they're being attacked by drug dealers.
Yeah.
Which is not great. Again, you need to, these guys saved your ass. You owe them the whole.
Yeah. Well, like she owes them more. Like she owed them way more than she gave, like, throughout.
Exactly. Like, clearly these guys, I mean, okay, I understand not trusting Lou, but like everybody else, like, they've given you you know, fucking Z died out there for your ass. So
yeah,
you owe us here. You know, we could have just thrown your ass right back out and not asked questions, but that's not who they are. So yeah, again, didn't love that from her, but she has some growth later. So, you know, we'll give her a pass. But they know they're fucked when they hear it's drug dealers. And Lou's like, let's give her up. Like, I don't want to deal with her. Fred's like, dude, like, we're not just throwing her out there to the wolves. Like, come on now. And he does what, like, it would piss me off too. He grabs Fred's beanie and pulls it over his face. And then Fred just punches him hard in the mouth.
Like, it's an instant reaction. He like fucks him, then he's like, fuck. Just right in his face. And he's like, and he goes through his face like, yes, where it's like, yeah, he did. Like, it's his fault. He's
like, it's his fault. And they're like, yep, it was. Yeah, that would piss me off too. If someone pulled my hat down from my face, I'd get mad.
It's like, it's moments like that just make it just makes me like sit back and I'm like laughing a bit. It's like, oh, what the fuck? Like,
he punches him and he's like, just go clean yourself up. It's not that bad. Just
it's like, it's your fault. Remember that. It's your fault though.
Because these guys, they could punch each other in the mouth and still be totally fine. Like, it's just, you know, solid friendship. But it was funny because as soon as he pulled down, he just jabbed him hard as shit. So yeah, Lou, he's falling apart for these titties. He just keeps saying, like, we should be at the strip bar. We're not supposed to be here.
Oh yeah. He is really upset about not seeing titties tonight.
And he finds the drugs in the toilet, which, woman, why did you put him in the back of the toilet where everyone's going to go and be alone at some point in the night? That was a bad idea. You could have picked like 1,000 other hiding spots. And he's like, aha, she had drugs. And they're like, that's a lot of drugs. Like, she's not trying to take it to steal it to take. What is this? And he's like, we'll just give the drugs back. And she's like, no, that guy's head that's all over the fucking ground, that's the drug dealer's brother. Like, he's going to kill your entire family. How old are you guys? And it's like, don't insult our age right now.
For
We
real.
fucking saved you. Yeah, we're old, but fuck off. Sean's not old. He's young.
Yeah.
We're not all old here.
Yeah.
But again, these guys aren't your typical old people, you know?
Yeah.
They're fucking. Walter stomped a dude's face into the ground. Give him credit.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they're badasses.
God damn it, Lizard. So yeah, Lou's like becoming the villain pretty quickly, but he's not like the real. He's not ready to handle this situation because he even insults her dead sister, which is like, oh, come on, man, that's not great. But Fred's keeping them together. He's the leader. It's his bar. And Walter's like, all right, fine, we'll do this. Remember the Alamo? And he's like, everyone died in the Alamo, you dumb shit.
Yeah, that one's a pretty good one.
Those are my favorite lines.
That. Yeah.
So they do what Bobby Rhodes told us to do. They armed up. They grabbed everything they could find. They even made like one of those swinging spike traps from the war.
Yeah.
And Sean makes bombs out of tennis balls and matches and gunpowder, which you know, again, Bobby Rhodes would approve. They have like, he has like, Abe has like spikes in his hand, like Wolverine and shit. Like, they're fucking armed. They get a spike bat. They're ready. And Fred's talking to Lizard. Talks about the one-shot lighter flick. He's like, my hands are getting where I can't really get in one shot. But again, this sets up something for later. But in a realistic way. Great writing. But he talks, this is a really great monologue for this movie where he talks about, you know, when they were in Vietnam, there was a lot of mud. People died in the mud. We fought in the mud. I hate the mud. And then Lou was in Korea. Their mud was frozen. Same deal though. You hate the frozen mud. Or, you know, Sean was in Afghanistan. There ain't no mud, but there's a whole lot of fucking sand. And a whole lot of people died in that sand. He hates the sand. Doesn't matter where you fought. This is a home to all, you know, veterans. And it doesn't even apply to war veterans. I mean, Lizard, essentially, her mud is the concrete jungle out there. And she's seen a lot of people, her sister included, die in that concrete mud. So, you know, she's kind of like this war veteran of her own, except it's right here in her own country.
Which, like with Lizard, like I struggle to understand like why she would be like, I understand like she's probably like, you know, super close to her sister and whatnot, but she doesn't look like the type of person, or she doesn't look like that she like, you know, also did drugs like her sister. I think they're just
poor and they live in this slum that is overtaken by the drugs. I mean, every one of those tweakers and drug dealers, they knew her.
Yeah.
Probably because she lives very close by and she's probably incredibly, you know, like low income housing and stuff. So, you know, when you're out there living in that stuff, you also have to survive. So it's like your own war in your own place. You can't go home. Your home is war. So I liked how they included that monologue with her to kind of include her with these guys.
Yeah.
It was not only a great moment for Fred, but a great moment for Lizard. So I loved that. And I think that encapsulates what this film is saying in a way.
Yeah.
And then there's, again, because they're getting ready. They're ready for them to come busting through the door and they're going to fuck them up. And Lou and Walter are standing together and Walter goes, don't kill them all at once. Lou's like, too bad. I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill them all. And Tank busts through the door with a tweaker's face. Like he's just slamming the guy's face to the door.
Like, and the whole time I'm seeing this, I'm just thinking of like, you know what? Like that guy who got to the door first, he was the most dedicated to get in, you know, like he ran faster than everyone else. He got to the door so he could actually smack on. It's like, I'm gonna get in here. Yeah. And then this show comes this dude who's like, actually, like, you're like, just gonna fucking, I don't give a fuck about how determined you were or dedicated. I'm just gonna use your noggin as a fucking
break through this door.
that would not work out that well, I think, like,
Oh no, this tank's
like,
pretty large though. You can provide a decent amount of power.
I feel like he could just bust it down with his own fists. He's a big guy. Like, do you
But
need
it was just like
someone else's head?
just to show how much of a dick he is, I think.
Yeah.
It's that subtle detail that just makes you be like, God damn it.
Like,
everybody's prepared. Lizard is guarding Doug, which he's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to guard Doug. I can fight. And he's like, I know you can fight, but like, we really need someone to look after Doug though.
Yeah. It's like, I want to help. That's right. You're going to help by watching after Doug.
And light his joint when he's ready to smoke.
Yeah, and light his joint for him.
He's a homie. He needs help. So Fred goes ballistic with this fucking axe and them doors buzz down. I mean, he's into people's skulls, into people's midsections, crazy shit. Walter and Lou spring the spike trap, which of course is very successful because it's a sharpened pull sticks that's being jammed into something.
Yeah.
Abe's stabbing people with the claws. They throw a grenade later. Just fucking crazy action shit. Like awesome stuff. Lou actually ends up saving Fred from being choked to death with a chain.
Yeah.
And Sean saves Abe and shoves a guy's face onto deer antlers, which was also really fucking cool.
It was really cool. I think Sean also has like another super cool kill. Like when he's like fucking like ramming some dude's head with his knee.
Yeah, that's
like,
later with Tank.
Tank.
Because Tank comes in and he punches Fred in the chest, which almost gives him a heart attack.
Yeah. Which like getting like struck straight in the chest like that, you can't breathe for like a couple of seconds.
That really can take you down, especially a guy that large. Like, fucking hurt. And Lizard just starts shanking the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, just fucking like fucking climbs on, fucking like wah, like fucking screaming the whole time. I'm like, yeah, fucking whoop his ass.
Fucking
like I thought she wasn't gonna do much, honestly, until like that happened, and I was like, holy shit, fucking crazy lady.
And then, like you said, Sean just knees him in the face till it's nothing. I mean, just fucks it up. And Baz is pissed now because his minions have failed and been murdered. Yeah. So he's rallying all of his troops because they're gonna make a big strike. And Fred's like, I love this scene too because he's struggling to pour shots because A, he got fucking clocked in the chest. B, he's scared, and also the adrenaline is coursing. Your hands do not. It's when you're in like high stakes situations, it's hard to fucking pour a shot.
Yeah,
but he does.
Like it's like it. Yeah, and they really They really focus on like him struggling doing it too, and while he's pouring shots, he takes one and then goes fills up another one.
Try to steady himself. And Doug's getting worse because he's been bleeding this whole time. It's not easy to stay alive when your whole arm is separated. There's a lot of important shit in your shoulder. And he's also really old, so he's getting worse and worse. Sean and Abe are bonding. Being this, Sean's just hoping he can make it to their age, and they're happy to have a younger vet around. I mean, because they're lucky Sean was there. He's a legit badass. And Walter discusses, he's like, if we sold these drugs, like, what would you do with the money? And Lou's like, I'd buy us all really nice caskets. And Walter's like, your trench talk needs a lot of work.
Shit's fuck. Like,
because again, even when the shit happens, we get great banter.
Yeah, and then he immediately goes over. It's like, dude, I think Lou's losing it, man. I think he's about.
Which Lou is losing it.
Yeah, he is. He is going crazy.
And Fred kind of has to level himself. So he tells Lou, like, hey, get your shit together, because Lou tries to grab the bag of drugs and run off.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, stop doing that. Like, it's not, even if you give him the drugs, they're just gonna kill us anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he runs out the door. He's like, I can fix this. I can negotiate it. And he's like, no, you can't. Stop. So Lou goes across the street and was like, let's make a deal. And Baz is like, no, we're not going to make a deal. I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so he tells Fred, like, hey, I'll give him back if you give me the drugs. And Lou's like, nah, man, I ain't going out like this. So he grabs a pipe, just starts fucking people up with the pipe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Has a
Like,
last.
the only reason why he lost is because he had a gun. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and he knows he's going to die here.
Yeah.
But he's going to take some people down with him. And he sure as fuck does. Because as soon as they said no deal, he's like, yeah, I'm probably dead. But he didn't go out like a bitch. He fucking beat some people down with the pipe, then just gets unloaded on with the gun. And Fred gets shot in the leg, but now he's pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's real pissed, specifically at Baz.
Mm.
And then once he gets inside, Doug has died from his injuries.
Mm.
So it does get to Fred. He does have a moment of like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But after getting maybe a little too harshly yelled at by Lizard, he comes back into it. Of course, you're going to doubt yourself. I mean, all your friends are dying, and he takes a lot of credit for them dying because it was his decision to spring into action.
Yeah.
When this chick entered the bar, he shot Rhodey in the head, which also drove this situation forward. So again, he feels responsible. But nevertheless, he snaps out of it when everyone starts bickering, and he has to look at his old war photos, look at his old self in the face. And they decide, all right, we're gonna need a new plan to fuck more people up, or else we're gonna die, and we may die anyway. But we're going out fighting, which is the best way to go out. We ain't just gonna sit here wait for death.
Yeah.
Like he initially was going to do. So Baz and his crew show up, and there's like a big hole in the wall from all the fighting. Mm-hmm. Baz is like looking through at him, and he's like taunting him. Fred's like, I'm just letting you know, if you got a plan to kill me, you better fucking come at me pretty good. Because if you don't kill me, and he points up the axe, he's like, I'm going to get you. And you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
You saw Baz got shook by that.
Oh, yeah, he did. He sure fucking did, too. I mean, look at the situation he's in. Like, he's just trying to pretend he still has the upper hand, while literally everyone that he's thrown at them has died. Like, well, how many people have they got? Like 3 so far?
And his drugs are getting damaged. So, this is not a great thing going on for him. He's getting ready to lose either way.
Like, he should have lost. He should have gave up after the first fucking showdown, first go through on it. Because what's your plan afterwards, man?
Yeah, the more of these guys you kill, the more angry the remaining guys are going to get, and more determined that for your death they're going to be.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they decide they're going to try to blow the doors open.
Yeah.
But because there's so many goddamn holes in the wall, they see what they're doing and they prepare for it. Because it's pretty obvious when there's like 17 holes in the wall, you can see what they're doing out there. So everyone mans the battle stations. Abe decides he's going to drug up for this occasion. So he takes a lot of drugs and grabs that sword.
Yeah.
He gets the sword. He's on drugs. He's ready to fuck shit up. Probably wasn't a great idea to take a whole bunch of drugs when you're so intoxicated and old.
Yeah.
But hey, if he's going to go out, he's going to go out very high. So, do what you got to do. So the doors blow open and they act like they're going to give the drugs up. But nah, that's not how we go out. We toss them up. Deadshot shoots them. Boom. Powder everywhere.
Yeah.
Enemies blinded.
It gets like all over fucking
Baz and his crew, which then the druggies are trying to get it off of them. So now they have to kill. Their druggies have turned on them. Now they have to kill them too. Great distraction. Great plan. And now, even if he does kill them, most of his drugs are gone. Yeah. So his deal, he's supposed to go like that. The buyer is not going to be happy when he only has 1 brick. Yeah. So either way, he's screwed. They've double fucked him. But either way, he's not going to make it to that purchase anyway. Yeah. So yeah, great stuff. Another struggle ensues. More bat and axe carnage. And Walter gets the buzzsaw.
I like what he finds that he's running past Frank. He's like, look what I found. He's like, oh, Jesus.
It was good stuff. Walter is a great character.
Yeah, I love him. I love his he's like so like ready. He's like, oh shit, yeah, like look at this thing. I'm gonna fucking whoop.
I mean, if you find a portable circular blade, you're gonna be pretty happy too. When you got to go through an army of people, you're like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do this.
Yeah, and those are the same saws that I use to cut rock in a construction too. Cut rocks and pavers. Like those things are buff.
So yeah,
like they fucking rip through shit.
So you can imagine a crowd of people.
Oh yeah,
pretty easy to get through.
Yeah.
Abe's like, nah, I'm gonna stay and defend this post. I'm gonna show him the power of the American military. That's the drugs talking.
Yeah, and Frank just Frank's kind of like, okay, I guess, and just kind of leads him to it.
Okay, you do what you gotta do, man. I'm out of here. But meanwhile, Baz takes Lizard to set up our final encounter because you have to. It's a movie.
Yeah.
And Fred's gonna square up with Gutter, and he's like, "You're the bitch that killed Z." And she spits at him, and he's like, "I ain't scared of your shit. I'm on drugs. None of this shit matters to me." Fred then is like, "Shit, I'm gonna go back in and make sure he's not gonna get fucking murdered by this bitch with a blade." So he leaves. He gives the axe to Sean, and Sean and Walter, which Walter buzzsaws to this crowd like, "No,
yeah." Yeah, and he's having such a good time too.
Oh yeah,
just fucking mowing through dudes.
Well, because he's had like a spiked bat. Like this is a great weapon upgrade.
Oh yeah.
So they're gonna go to this assault vehicle, but it's gonna be hard to start because it hasn't started in a while. So Walter's gonna.
He's like, does that start? It's like, does it start? It's like, yeah, when I tell it to.
So he's up front trying to talk to this machine, and Sean's in the back just trying to keep people away, just fucking people up left and right. But again, it's really hard to do. And he's like, dude, you gotta hurry up. And he's like, God damn impatient millennials. Give it a minute.
Ever had someone watch you pee, man? Like
it's true. It's hard to do shit under pressure.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, one of the druggies gets through and pretty badly wounds Walter. Sean still fucks him up. No one's gonna be left alive from that. But and Walter knows, like as soon as he's like, yeah, I'm gonna die soon. Like, he's like, hey, you got a wife, you get out of here, man. Like, I'll handle the rest of this. Like, you did enough. Like, you helped us out. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm out. And then meanwhile inside, Abe's getting fucked up by Gutter, even on all the drugs. But fucking
I was gonna say that she's probably on drugs too.
Fred shoves the flag through her through her stomach and then through her mouth when she bends backwards.
Super cool death.
So her last vision of the world is his angry face, and I was like, beautiful.
I like how they show us that too. It was like really cool shot.
Great shot. And then Abe goes to sit at the bar where he'll be for the rest of the movie because he's slowly dying. He was very badly injured in that fight as well. So Fred goes to save Lizard from Baz. So we have the finale set up here. So Sean begrudgingly leaves Walter, even though he really doesn't want to let him go off on his own. And the thing finally starts. And Walter's heading into battle. He said, I'm going to save your ass one more time, Fred. One more time. Then you're on your own. So Baz goes to shoot Lizard, which he took forever to do. Why'd you try to do this outside? If you're going to kill her inside. I don't understand.
I guess you want to have a dramatic moment or some shit.
That's what happens when you try to have dramatic moments.
Yeah, like come on.
So Fred shoots him in the shoulder, and then they have a standoff for a while. But
which even here, like, he has nothing of value to you. You are the only one that has any sort of like bargaining chip. Like, just shoot him. Just shoot him. Just shoot. Like the bat. Like he's stupid.
Yeah, he wants to have this monologue.
Stupid. He wants to be a badass, but he can't. He wants to like achieve the level of badassery that Frank's got, and you just can't have that. You can't get that through monologuing.
Nope. Because then Lizard does the one shot lighter trick, lights up that backpack, and during the distraction, Fred shoots him right in the chest. But before he can bleed out from his injuries, here comes Walter with the power of the American military.
And a whole truck too.
Yeah.
Powerful and a whole truck.
Going right into him and into the other vehicle and blowing the fuck up.
Oh yeah, and Frank was like they get knocked back, like what the fuck is he doing? Like they were not prepared at all.
And then Sean shows up to be like, yeah, he was dying anyway. He went out with style, which is what he wanted to do. So then our survivors, Sean, Lizard, and Fred, they stand there, kind of take in what has just happened.
Yeah,
and they head into the bar. And they're like, oh, I guess Abe's dead. And he's like, I'm not dead. But then he dies because I think he waited just to make sure that they won before he died.
I think
the drugs had to wear off first. I don't know.
I like to believe that Abe was dead and he just came back just to talk some shit to Frank.
The rigor mortis.
Who said I was dead?
You don't get to tell me what I am. I do what I want when I want.
I die when I say so, not because you said I was.
Which is right now. Not because you pressured me, but because it's my time right this second.
I took a lot of drugs and I got hit a lot.
I've been bleeding and I'm on a lot of drugs and never had in my system before. Yeah. So this is not great. So yeah, he's dead. Our 3 survivors are there and they find a brick of drugs, which they're now going to sell to fix up the VFW, which, fitting end here.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That is VFW.
I was pretty curious to see what would happen after the fact, since after the sun came up and authorities
see all up, these bodies. Apparently in this neighborhood, if you took out a fucking drug traffic area, I'm pretty sure the police are gonna let that slide. No matter how bad the carnage is, they're like,
but they'll have to go clean it up. But that's a fraction of the price. It's fine. We'll clean it. We'll clean up after you. We'll let you sell those drugs, I guess, too. Because I feel like they successfully would sell them.
That
and
VFW
fix up the
hall is thriving now.
Yeah.
So now we are on to the fun fact section, where there's not a lot because this is a 2019 movie. It doesn't have a whole lot of information out that I'm aware of. But it was a straight to video, which I think I would have loved to have seen this in theaters. I think it deserved a theater release. There's a lot of movies that go to theaters that don't need a theater release. So you know what? People put better movies in theaters. VFW was a worthy. Shot in a real VFW hall, which we discussed. The director's other film, Bliss, is actually seen on the theater marquee across the street, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's cool.
And Walter's full name is Walter Reed, which is actually a famous military hospital. So that's why his character was named after. And also when Baz says fire it up outside, that is a reference because David Patrick Kelly, who played Doug, was one of the villains in The Crow. And that was a line he had in The Crow. So cool. it was direct referencing The Crow and David Patrick Kelly. So familiar faces. Like I said, there's a good amount of star power in this movie. Fred Williamson was played by, Stephen Lang played Fred. He was from Don't Breathe. He was the villain in Don't Breathe, which was one of the probably more successful horror films quickly in the past few years. It was a great movie. He's also in Gettysburg and Avatar. Those were his 2 bigger movies.
Back in what was it, James Cam?
Yeah, James Cameron's Avatar.
James Avatar, yeah.
Yeah. So, but he's had, all these guys have had long filmographies. These are just the main things that I'm aware of. So again, their laundry list filmographies. These guys, guys have been acting since the late 70s.
I mean, having even all these big names movies under the belt too is a lot of people should probably know them, recognize. I did, I said, I recognized a bunch of them, even though I didn't know their names off the top of my head. I knew these faces.
Stephen Lang, like I said, from Don't Breathe, that's it was 2016. That's still within the conscience of most people. So most people know him from that.
But he looked older in that movie too, which is kind of.
He did look older.
And he played a grizzled war vet in that movie too.
He did. He does good with that role.
He does, doesn't he?
William Sadler played Walter. He was in Die Hard 2, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey as Death, Iron Man 3, and Machete Kills. So again, he has a very a decent filmography.
Oh yeah.
Fred Williamson, who played Abe, was in like 100 different blaxploitation films in the 70s and 80s. I mean, he was in so many of those. And he was also in From Dusk Till Dawn and Children of the Corn 5 as well. Martin Kove played Lou. We all know him from The Karate Kid. He played Kreese, Death Race 2000, Rambo 2, and Crocodile 2. So, but again, Karate Kid, everyone knows the leader of Cobra Kai. Yeah. So huge name there for this.
I didn't know he was in Death Race though.
The original one from the 70s.
Okay.
I was like, that was a long time ago. And then David Patrick Kelly, who played Doug, was in The Warriors, which is one of my favorite gang movies.
Fucking great movie.
We all knew him as Luther in The Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of the best villains in movie history. He was in 48 Hours, Malcolm X, The Crow, and John Wick. So he has a very extensive filmography himself. Then George Wentz, who played Z, was in Fletch, House. He was in the long-lasting series Cheers, and was in The Little Rascals in that scene where they go to buy the lumber, and they only have like a couple dollars, and they get that like one piece. He's the foreman they buy it from. So
that's cool.
I always love to connect things to Little Rascals. So. And then Sierra McCormick, who played Lizard, was in the Disney series Ant Farm when she was younger, and now is better things.
Yeah, that's where I know her. That's where I know her name from. I watched that show with my sister whenever it was on.
So yeah,
it wasn't not the worst show.
No,
not the worst Disney show. But yeah, I knew it. Like I saw that name. I read that name. Like, where did I fucking hear that name before? That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad she's out doing some really like.
This is a great role. She did a fantastic job.
Oh yeah. There were a couple times where I felt like she was a little like, I don't know, like I don't want to say like whiny or. Well,
the VFW guys were the stars of this movie.
Yeah.
She was just the device to move it forward in a sense, but she did good with what she was given.
Oh yeah.
But like Fred and all the guys, like they are that's the drive of the movie. That's what people are going to talk about more.
Yeah. And by the end of the movie, she doesn't seem out of place at all.
No, I mean, she's just someone who survived a war herself.
Yeah, she's like a part of like the group that's left now. You know,
she'll probably be at that VFW hall all the time herself.
Yeah.
So Cole, final thoughts on VFW?
I thought the cinematography was one of like some of the best I've seen. Like it was a very beautifully shot movie. The colors were great. Like what was that Nick Cage movie we watched? The weird one. Where he also just like fucks up a bunch of drug people. Mandy. It like the color scheme kind of reminded me of Mandy a bit, but like less severe in my eye holes.
Yeah, like, it was and the lighting made sense. Like when the lights went out, the reds came on.
Yeah,
and then on the outside it had that bluish hue because it's dark, like but still lit. Like the lighting made more sense. Whereas in Mandy, it was just very trippy.
It was like Mandy was an artistic film. I like to say artistic film.
This was more of just a stylistic choice so we could see the action, but it also be realistic within its own world.
Like I think it more so like it like emphasized the action a bit too. I think like it makes it like for me it made it a bit more immersive. Actually, like having this really cool color gradient.
It also hides the makeup a little bit better with the practical effects.
It do. The practical effects, like going to that, awesome. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Even though it was like even like my favorite was just the head explosion from the shotgun.
There's nothing better than a good exploding head, man.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
It reminded me of Scanners, how it just fucking boom. Love it.
Yeah.
This I didn't have a lot of expectations going. I had heard people say it was good, but I didn't really know what it was going to be. But I didn't expect the sheer violence we were getting out of it. And just how good it looked. And I was very impressed. And again, if this if this is only the second like big movie this guy's made, like I'm very excited to see moving forward what the filmography look like.
Yeah, I think overall I would really give this movie I'd give like an 8.5 to 9 out of 10.
I'd definitely give it an 8. Like it's not a perfect movie, but it's very rewatchable. Like it's very smooth and fun. And you know, even just the banter is fun. The action is gritty and bloody and fantastic. So yeah, I definitely think it's an upper tier movie. I think it needs to be seen by more people.
Yes.
But there are so many movies like when you get to that 8.59 meter where it's like they're like godly movies, and this is so new to me that I don't know if I'm ready to give it that kind of acknowledgement yet. But it may be in the future. We'll look back on this and I'll put it higher. But for now, I'm going to give it an 8.
I think this movie specifically just kind of like struck a chord with me because I'm sitting there and I'm like feeling this like pump, like this adrenaline rushing through me too, and I'm like really excited for the movie. I think that's what really is pushing me to that 8.5 mark. It's just it really struck me. It was like I think it's going to be one of my best movies.
I was like, it's definitely in contention for the best movie we've covered so far. Stakeland was fantastic.
Yes.
But this is a different kind of fantastic. Because Stakeland just had that great tone and bleakness that I wanted from that movie. Whereas this just had the violence and flow. Like I would probably rewatch this movie more than I would Stakeland because Stakeland's a mood I think I need to be in. Whereas this, I could just watch this at any particular point, and you know, it's so quick and smooth and easy. So
with great characters, you want to be around. You know,
exactly. You're gonna have a fun time with this movie. So with that, that's gonna end our coverage on VFW. Join us next time. We're gonna talk about Let the Corpses Tan, which is something I literally know nothing about. I have zero knowledge, whereas VFW, I at least heard people talk about it. I've never heard anything about this movie, so I'm excited to see where we go. Hopefully it's not Castle Freak 2020 and it's more like VFW. So with that being said, guys, you know, I know we're on different platforms now, so if you're on YouTube, like button, subscribe button, it's all down there. But you know, if you're on Spotify or Stitcher or Deezer and all that business, you know, let us know how we're doing here. You know, we love to interact.
You see, Bobby Rhodes would love to be able to be seen by more people. He deserves it.
If really nothing else, we're spreading awareness on the greatness of Bobby Rhodes. We have taken on this crusade in life. So, guys, that being said, stay safe. Most importantly, stay nerdy.